What I'd Learned from 160 Plus Hours of Dungeons and Dragons by Alex Norman. Your Unreal Adventures Dungeon Master. The math: 60 sessions averaging 3 hours each over 18 months, with an average count of 6 full-time players who started at level 1 and are now level 17. Levels 1 to 5 for 10 session using the Lost Mine of Phandelver starter set. Levels 6 to 10 for 17 sessions playing a custom campaign Lost Souls. Level 11 to 17 for 33 session playing the Heroes of Haven. 60 sessions averaging at least 3 hours over the course of 18 months, with an average of 6 full-time players who started at level 1 and are currently level 17. Plan. I schedule sessions on a day of the week and at a time that everyone is available to play. We discuss in Session 0 what we will do with player absences. We chose Wednesdays at 6 p.m. This ensured that nobody's weekends were monopolized for the foreseeable future. I established my expectations of what I want from my players in Session 0. If there is a player that would not be a good fit for the campaign, and it would be disruptive, I let them know that they might have more fun playing in a different style of game. If the player is trying to surprise me by doing something clever to try and trap or get me in a gotcha moment, it is probably not going to go according to their plan. If I am going to design a game for my players, I am going to invest in game elements that give purpose, direction, and motivation to my players' character goals. This makes players invested in instead of involved in events and locations in the world. An example of this would be goblins are in the forest versus the goblin warlord that sacked your village has been spotted and is amassing a war party. You know it's only a few more days till another village gets attacked. I would have gotten that connection from a player's backstory and added in timeline with consequences for failure to build up the stakes and tension. Now, what adventure would you rather be involved in? Here is my top secret method. I take what my players tell me they are looking forward to and use it as plot hooks and rewards in future planning sessions. I use D&D Beyond and have never had to lose your character sheet or have to flip through books to look up what an ability does. I used Roll20 as VTT, and the players have access to handouts and notes between adventures. Being browser-based, I have had a few players run it off their boxes. Add a plugin like Beyond20 and you can roll from the encounter to the chat log. Once I have these links consolidated, I post them in an email, VTT forum, pinned as a comment, and in the campaign notes in D&D Beyond. My takeaway is that everyone needs to collaborate on the game to keep playing the game. Everyone, including the DM, is a player in the game, and if it isn't fun, then to me it's not worth expending the effort and I could be happier doing something else. Here's the format that I use for links. Prepare. I spend at least 3 hours total planning and preparing for a 3-hour homebrew game, and with games that are modules it's about 1.5 hours per 3-hour session. That is my comfort zone and I have the time. To maximize the return on investment with time at the end of the session, I ask what are the goals that the players and the party are trying to accomplish in the following session. I then take that information and plan the next session and maybe a bit more into the overall campaign. If I don't know how to incorporate the players' ideas, I will just ask them how that would work. I don't have to have an answer for everything. I ask my players for their input and incorporate their ideas because it brings them into the creation of a living world. If the suggestion doesn't make sense or is too big, I use no, but here's what I could see making sense. Look at your player characters and design encounters that they can show off. Shoot arrows at your monks so they can catch them and throw them back. Let your spellcasters get counterspelled. Place things in the environment to make problem-solving dynamic. Have loads of minion that your martial characters can slice through so they feel like the badasses that they are. I want my players to be rewarded when they use their characters' abilities and expend their hard-earned resources so that at the end of the session feel like they were the stars of their own movie or TV show. I also use a notebook, whiteboard, or email myself with ideas that I come up with. Execute. I describe what is happening so the players have the information to make an educated decision. I then ask, what you want to do? I see if a skill check or dice roll is required and narrate how the event unfolds based on the result of any checks. I then ask what the players are going to do given that new information. I only call for a check when there is a risk of failure or it is even possible to do in the first place. Dice are a great way to represent the randomness of events. However, I treat NAT 1s and 20s as close to by the book as possible. 20s on attacks automatically hit critical hits. Natural 1's severity depends on the situation. Most times I try and stay away from punishing my players for rolling a nat 1 unless there are appropriate consequences to failure. I think that it's okay to say no to a player if they are trying to make a skill check that replicates a spell-like effect. I want to hide while still in line of sight of the enemy is a no. You want to cast invisibility. I want to convince the merchant to give me a 50% discount on this gear. No, you need to cast a spell that requires a saving throw to take away their autonomy if you are going to attempt something that they don't have a natural inclination to do. I don't have a problem with saying no when it is called for. There are no shortage of Reddit horror stories and YouTube shorts on players breaking their game because the DM thinks that telling a player no detracts from the fun, steals players' agency, and railroads. I don't just say no and leave it at that. I say what you are trying to do won't work because of insert rule that I know because I have read the books, and what you want to do is this game mechanic, ability, or a compromise. Then I ask if they understand or need further clarification and what they would like to do instead of that. Supervise. Instead of having the player try and lead me to a conclusion with a series of yes to get to their desired result, I will just ask what they are trying to accomplish and go from there. Just ask, what do you want to do? I don't hide plot progression or needed information behind pointless dice rolls. I just tell the players enough of what they need to know to take the next step in doing the thing. I have seen and been a part of bad dice rolls derailing the game. As a ranger, you see tracks leading off in this direction. As a dwarf, you notice that the stonework seems off. You can tell that this writing isn't any language that you know, but there is a sage that you studied with when you were living as a scholar in the city that might provide more insight. I also tell my players if what they are thinking is certainly not the case because I don't want to start a wild goose chase. I let the players control the flow of the game. I have quests and objectives naturally evolve in a living world. Everything reacts to what my players choose to do or do not do. This one took a bit to learn, but I don't rush the table banter and interactions with the world. I take notes. Players through playing session after session will tell you what they are interested in and what they want to do and see. Use that information when you go back to planning. My players might have better ideas than me. Evaluate. I believe that a little metagaming is a good thing. Not stat blocks, but capabilities. The answer I give to what would my character know about this is what would your character know? If my players are overreaching, I will manage expectations. I am a firm believer that the goal of the game is to keep playing the game forever in an ideal situation. Everyone is a player. The DM just happens to be playing all the bad guys. I as the DM should not strive to be adversarial, vindictive, or malicious. It's everyone's game, but I focus on the player's enjoyment and try and lose as gracefully as possible. I see the key is to challenge your players, not punish them. If players are hell-bent on making poor choices, I do believe that actions have consequences. Depending on the severity of the player's choices and the outcome of the character's actions, good or bad, the world reacts accordingly. Refine. I ask for and use the feedback that my players give me to improve the games that I run. I actively see it out at the end of the session by asking if they enjoyed it and what I could do better for next time. I use this time to ask what the players' goals are for the next session. This lets me know what to prepare for and what the players are looking forward to. It took me a long time to get comfortable being a dungeon master. That comfort is the byproduct of knowing the rules and having run countless mediocre or even downright bad games over the last 25 plus years. I am also comfortable with saying no when I need to. I am now better at calling out bad behavior when I see it and seek a resolution in the spirit of solving the issue together. I try not to hold a grudge. One of the best analogies I have heard is that running a campaign is like building the rest of the airplane mid-flight while you are charting the course, piloting the plane, turning wrenches, hand out peanuts and soda, and then figure out how to land it and keep it together. Here are the questions that I use to get feedback. What did you like most about the game/session/campaign? What did you like least about the game/session/campaign? Was there anything missing from the game/session/campaign that you would have liked to see? How was the pacing of the game/session/campaign? Did you feel engaged and invested in the story and your character? Was there anything I could have done better as the DM/GM? Is there anything else you'd like to share about your experience?